Welcome to Group B profile for the 2019 Asian Cup. We are 1 week closer to the quadrennial international major tournament of the Asian continent, the AFC region, which kicks off on January 5th in the United Arab Emirates, just a few days after the new year. I'm really looking forward to this. So this is the second installment in my series looking at the teams in all the groups and giving an overall statistical overlook of where things stand. And again, just like last week when I previewed Group A, these are not predictions. These are just profile vids. Predictions, I think we'll do a live stream on the day before the tournament itself starts. So this will be a 6-video series from Groups A through F, like I mentioned last week, and it'll come every Friday. And today's Friday, so happy Friday wherever you are in the world. If it's Saturday there, then happy Saturday to you. Let's dive in to Group B. So, in Group B, we have the defending Asian champions, Australia. Australia's nickname is the Socceroos, combination of the words soccer and roos, kangaroos being a native mammalian species to Australia. Their record in 2018 includes 4 wins, 3 draws, and 3 losses. Those wins came against the Czech Republic, Kuwait, Hungary, and Lebanon. Draws came against Colombia, South Korea, and Denmark in the World Cup this past summer in Russia. And losses against Norway, France, the eventual World Cup champions, and Peru. Both of those latter 2 games taking place in the group stage of the World Cup. They are coached by Graham Arnold, so they have a native manager this time as they did 4 years ago under Ange Postecoglou. Graham Arnold, he has a previous record of taking Australia to the quarterfinals of the 2007 AFC Asian Cup. So this will be his second tournament in charge of the Socceroos and the first one in 12 years. Australia's greatest ever finish in the Asian Cup, includes winning it on home soil 4 years ago in 2015. And prior to that, their first ever involvement came in 2007 when they left Oceania to join the AFC. And they finished second in 2011. So this will be Australia's 4th ever Asian Cup. The 3 previous ones, they all had ladder round finishes. With the last 8 in 07, like I mentioned, runners-up in 11, and winners in 2015. So Australia, they have a very contemporary, short-lived history in this tournament, but they've done well enough for themselves, and they should be considered contenders to possibly repeat, to become the first repeating champion since Japan in 2004. Star players for Australia include Matthew Leckie, Tommy Jurich, and Aaron Moy. There's a couple of retirements in the post-Russia 2018 world of Australian football. That includes Milja Jedinak and finally Tim Cahill, both of whom announced they were leaving the squad a few months ago after a 3rd consecutive group stage exit in the World Cup this past summer. So what we know of Australia is they are one of the seeded teams in this tournament. They are one of the favorites to win it. They put on a better World Cup performance in 2018 than they did 4 years prior, suggesting that they are a better team now than they were in Brazil 2014. This is a group that should be navigable for Australia. They should top this group on paper. They should get to at least another quarterfinal finish. That's not an official prediction, but if you're talking about a realistic goal for Australia, a realistic goal would be to win the title again. An expectation, like I said, at least a last 8 finish. Moving on to Jordan. Nicknames, Al-Nashama, which means the chivalrous. A very distinguishable nickname for a national team in world football. I believe there's nothing else like it. Their record in 2018 includes 4 wins, 4 draws, and 3 losses. Those wins came against Denmark, Kuwait, Cyprus, and India. Some interesting results. and draws against Vietnam, Oman, Jordan, Saudi Arabia, and losses to Finland, Lebanon, and Croatia. They played Croatia back in October, the recent World Cup finalist, and lost by a respectable scoreline of 2-1. After failing to reach the latter rounds of Asian World Cup qualifying in 2018, this could suggest that Jordan are on the up again, as they were 4 years prior in the 2014 qualifying cycle when they missed out in the international playoff to Uruguay for one of the final spots in that year's main event. They are coached by Belgian Vital Borkelmans, who doesn't really have very much experience as a manager himself, although he was the assistant to Mark Wilmots's Belgian team in the 2014 World Cup. Jordan's previous finishes in the Asian Cup include quarterfinals in 2004 and 2011, and a group stage exit in 2015. So they've only qualified for 3 tournaments. This will be their 4th. And they've gotten past the first round in 2 of those 3 occasions, with the most recent coming 4 years prior in Australia in the group stages. Star players include Hamza Al-Dardor, Khalil Bani Attia, and Baha Faisal. A realistic goal for Jordan in this group would be to, number 1, get out of the group. But as far as an expectation of how far they can go, it's very likely that anything beyond a quarterfinal finish would be within the realm of possibility for the Jordanians. They are ranked outside the top 100 teams in the world. I believe they are around 115th at the moment or so. No team outside the top 100 in the FIFA rankings prior to the AFC Asian Cup kicking off has ever won the AFC Asian Cup. So they are by no means among the favorites. Possibly you cannot even consider them a dark horse, but it's a group in which, because they have that tournament experience over Syria and Palestine, at least in recent memory, they will be contenders to come in second. If they get a favorable draw in the round of 16, maybe go one step further, but that's just about it for Jordan. Moving on to Syria. Syria, the 3rd team in this group. Their record in 2018 includes 2 wins, 4 draws, and 2 losses. Wins against Bahrain and Kuwait, draws against Qatar, Iraq, Uzbekistan, and Oman, and losses to Korea and China. They're coached by Bernd Strange, is a German manager who has quite a bit of history. Came out of retirement to coach the Syrian national team. He has managed German club teams such as Jena 3 times, Hertha Berlin and RB Leipzig, as well as national teams of Oman, Iraq, Singapore, and his lone European international experience with Belarus a few years back. The nickname of the Syrian national team is the Qasioun Eagles, the national symbol of the country, and they have only had 5 appearances in Asian Cups overall out of 16 tournaments held. These included 3 consecutive group stage exits from 1980 to 1988, another group stage exit in 1996, and another group stage exit in 2011. So Syria has never gotten past the first round. That is 5 group stage finishes, 3 of which are consecutively. Star players include Omar Al-Soma, Omar Karbin, and Mahmoud Al-Mawas. But there are rumors that Omar Al-Soma may miss the AFC Asian Cup due to injury, just like UAE counterpart Omar Abdul Rahman. That remains to be seen. Abdul Rahman for UAE has been officially ruled out. Omar Al-Soma, there's conflicting reports whether or not he will be fit in time. If not, it's sort of a blow to the Syrian team. Now, Syria, they had quite an inspirational run in the last couple of years in international football. They squeezed through in the 3rd place position in Group A of AFC qualifying in the final round, where they made it to the 5th placed playoff game against the other 3rd place finisher from the other group, which just happened to be Australia. Yes, Australia. So, Syria made it to the playoffs, and had they gotten past the Socceroos, they would have made it to the playoff against Honduras, the fourth-place team from the CONCACAF region. So Syria came very much so unexpectedly, out of nowhere, reasonably close to qualifying for the 2018 World Cup in Russia. That is quite something. And given now that they are ranked as the sixth best team in Asia, they'll be hoping to build on that and to turning this into a deep run in this tournament. They had a little bit of a mixed record this year in 2018 with a couple of eyebrow-raising results, and Bernd Strange doesn't exactly have the most prestigious record as a manager. Plus, with the Al Soma injury, you kind of don't know where Syria is going to head heading into this tournament. However, they do have the quality to go on a quarters, maybe even a semifinal run. And maybe they could take a page out of Iraq's book from 2007, a war-torn country, very much so surprising everyone on the way to glory. We'll have to wait and see. But I am very interested to see what Syria does, because I think they have the quality to do something quite special this year. And lastly, we have Palestine in this group. Palestine, their nickname are the Knights or the Lions of Canaan. They have quite a few nicknames. Those are just two of them. Their 2018 record includes 4 wins, 4 draws, and 1 loss. Those wins came up against Tajikistan, Nepal, Bangladesh, and Pakistan. Draws against Afghanistan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, and China. And losses against Iraq and Qatar. They've only lost 1 game this whole year, but keep in mind that several of their opponents were quite weak. The aforementioned Pakistan, Bangladesh, Nepal, etc. They're managed by Algerian Noureddin Ould Ali, who has small-time experience as a manager, mostly coaching Algerian youth clubs at the under-23 level in his time. I believe he is the only North African manager that will be at this year's Asian Cup, Noureddin Ould Ali, and he'll be representing Algeria in that regard. Palestine have only qualified for the Asian Cup once in their entire history, and that was 4 years ago in Australia, when they finished in the group stages with 0 points from 3 losses. This will be only their second time premiering in this tournament, so they don't really have much history to fall back on. Sort of a rising force in the West Asian scene, the broader Asian football scene in general. But that makes Palestine somewhat of an unknown variety, which could play into their hands should any opponent in this group or beyond underestimate them. The star players are Yassir Pinto, Khalid Salim, and Sama Maraba. Yassir Pinto, I believe he plays for a club in Chile, and he is a dual national, if I'm not mistaken. Palestine, a reasonable expectation for them, or at least a reasonable goal for Palestine, would be to get some points in this group. Maybe not necessarily advance, but if they can better their result from 2015, that in itself would be a massive victory. And because they're in a group where they're with familiar West Asian neighbors, that being Jordan and Syria, don't put it past Palestine to pull off an upset or two and possibly advance from this group as one of the best third-place finishers. It's possible, and it could be one of the great underdog stories of the Asian Cup. So a realistic goal is to get out of the group, but probably not much beyond the round of 16. So, thank you for watching this. I hope you enjoyed. Please give me some feedback, some ways you think I can improve these profile videos and what I say in them. Join me next Friday. We talk about Group C, which will contain South Korea, China, the Philippines, and Kyrgyzstan. So, leave a comment below, like, subscribe. Hopefully I'll see you tomorrow or soon, God willing. Peace out.